holidays. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. It's supposed to be the happiest time of the year, and yet it's so full of stress. How do you deal with the stress of the holidays? My name is Chester Elton. I'm with my wonderful co-author, Adrian Gosting, and this is the podcast, Anxiety at Work. Welcome, Adrian.
Well, thanks. Yeah, whether you're a big holiday fan or you just kind of say, I got to make it through the holidays, we want to help you out today. How you can bring down your holiday stress, how you can get through some times that may be a little challenging for a lot of people. And one of the things we talk a lot about, Chess, is that, look, you got to set some boundaries over the holidays, don't you? You want to get the best gift for everybody. You want to go to every party. You want to make sure every neighbor feels appreciated and loved. And sometimes we're just trying to do way too much.
You know, this is so prescient because it's so funny. Over the years, Heidi and I, we've got this old Victorian house, and we've got all these bushes and all these gardens. And so for years, we've put lights on the tree in front and all the bushes around. And of course, we've got the swag along the porch and over the door. And this year I said, what if we just did the door?
Yeah.
and the porch. But let's forget the bushes and the trees and all the extension cords. And, it just took so much pressure off that one thing. So sometimes, as you look at all the stuff you're doing, just eliminate one thing.
I like
and
that.
if you can eliminate that one thing, it's amazing how all of a sudden you can just exhale and go. And you know what, by the way, Adrian? Our door and our porch looks great. It looks great.
I love that. Yeah. And I love this idea. Yeah. Set some boundaries before you begin, instead of going for 2 weeks, because your mom's going to give you guilt that you're not coming for 2 weeks. It's okay to go for 2 or 3 days. It's all right. Everything is all right. Which brings us to the next idea of how do you avoid family conflict? Maybe you've got an uncle who always talks about that particular group of people, and he's going to start ranting. I know your dad probably has some advice that could help us, right?
Yeah, I think it's just assume positive intent. We wrote a lot about this in our book, Leading with Gratitude, and just meet people where they are. And, my dad always had a great tradition. He said, and this is when he was much older, he said, I'm of the age where no matter what anybody says to me, I take it as a compliment. And he said, by the way, if you're cheerful for those, Christmas grumps or those holiday grumps, it'll drive him crazy. So for him, it was a win-win. No matter what they'd say, well, you can't believe that guy. And he'd say, well, thank you very much. And he'd go, well, it wasn't a compliment. He'd say, too late. And it would just, it would make people laugh and it would change the subject. So assume positive intent about people and say, hey, look, I know we don't agree on that. Let's just be cheerful. I don't know. It worked for Dad.
Oh, I love that. And also the idea of, look, control what you can control, right? We talk about this in the work situation, but over the holidays, especially, you can't control what other people are going to do or think. You can only control what you are thinking and feeling in these situations.
Yeah. We've done a lot of work in the past about self-talk. And I think that's a great way to control your attitude during the holidays. Instead of beating yourself up all the time. That wasn't the right present. Or, the wrapping paper or the tape. By the way, just a little confession here. I am the worst present wrapper of all time. Like, you look under the tree, you immediately know which presents I've wrapped. Because I can't get the corners. And I use way too much tape. The point is, it's wrapped. And I give myself grace. I go, I wrapped it. I could have just put a bow on it. But I didn't. I put wrapping paper. And this idea of be kind to yourself. Yeah. We say things to ourselves we would never say to someone else. And what was the mantra we had is make your inner voice your best friend. Make your inner voice that one that cheers you up in the holidays. You say, you know what? Yeah. You got enough presents. You know what? The wrapping, it's fine. You'll be fine. And I think it goes a long way to just reducing anxiety. Give yourself a break. Give yourself a little positive self-talk.
Love that idea. And to that end, too, maybe take a break from social media, over the holidays. There's so much with Instagram and Pinterest and, we're comparing ourselves to, instead go out and, kick a soccer ball if it's not 3 feet of snow like here, with your loved ones, or have a flag football game, or do something that'll be a little happier and a little bit more active.
I love this idea so much because not only do we have to have our perfect real lives, we now have to have perfect digital lives, and the pressure on that. One of the things that we do as a family, and this is just a suggestion, but it's worked really well for us, is on Christmas Day, we have a little service project. And what we do is we make up 3 plates of cookies and home baked, right? Something fun. And we take a plate to the emergency room at the hospital, to the firehouse, and to the police station because they've got to work on Christmas Day. And we sing, We Wish You a Merry Christmas. Now, our choir is not anywhere near the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. That's not the point. It's that we did a little act of service. We, got rid of all the stuff that we've done, all our presents and all that are done. And I'll tell you what's really interesting, Adrian. As our kids have gotten older and now they're married and they're starting their lives, they come back for Christmas. You know what they always say? Hey, we're doing the cookie thing, right?
That's great.
And it is. And it's just a lovely way to give back and forget about all our imperfections and say, you know what? There's a policeman's going to really enjoy this cookie.
Well, one of the things we've done is we've looked before the holidays, for somebody who needs help. Could be a family in the neighborhood, could be, and so we made this a family. And once my son called and he said, Anthony and Tony, and he says, hey, there's a homeless guy who hangs out at campus. He was in college at the time, and this guy, I noticed his boots there are holes in them. It's winter. There's snow on the ground. Can I buy him some boots? Which basically means, can I buy him some boots, right?
Can you buy some
he had
boots
no
for
money.
me?
Yeah. So I said, yeah, go do that. And then he texts from the REI wherever he's at, and he says, hey, he also needs some socks and maybe a big, nice warm coat. And I was like, all right, let's just get it, and so, and do you need a little
car?
Money? Yeah, we didn't get that far, but it was several $100s. But it was, and this guy, nobody had done anything this kind for him in just forever, and it was a really meaningful thing,
And I know Tony, he's got that good heart. He's cheering for the underdog, isn't it? And that's a great memory for you, right? A friend of mine gave me a tip when it comes to homeless people I'd love to pass on to our listeners. And he asked me, he said, hey, I live just outside New York City. We go in New York all the time, and there's lots of homeless people, as there are in most big cities. And he says, do you ever give to the homeless? I go, yeah, all the time. I always make sure I've got a few dollars. And he says, do you ever ask them their name? And I said, I don't. Why would you say that? He says, they're invisible to everybody. Yeah. And the way that makes them visible is you say, hey, I'd like to give you a little something. By the way, my name's Chester. What's yours? Mm-hmm. Jack. And my son Connor and I, we did this. And I'm telling you, they just light up. The gift of the money is always helpful. Yeah. But the fact that you know their name and that you've shared your name is just a lovely little gift.
And what I love that Tony knew this guy's name. He says, hey, Larry the homeless guy.
Larry the homeless guy.
Yeah. So he knew him. He knew his name. And so, I love that idea, though. Hey, my name's Chester. That's awesome. Hey, one of the other things. Names, I love that. So one of the other things, too, over the holidays to reduce stress is, I'd say cut back a little, and I'm the worst at this, cut back a little on the sugar and fat, keep your exercise regimen up, kind of keep the things that you're going to do and that'll keep you healthy. Have a salad now and then. That really can't help.
I got to completely disagree with you on this one. This is the season where I give myself permission to just smear my body with chocolate. I know what you're saying. And it's so funny that you mentioned that because literally I do. We've got so much sweets in the house. And I think, okay, pace yourself. Yeah. And you know what it is for me, and maybe it is for some of our listeners? It's that first piece of chocolate that just puts you on that railroad train to hell, right? Yeah. So I agree with you. Measure that. Don't eliminate it completely. Total chocolate.
Have fun, yeah.
But measure it because you can. All of a sudden you go, it tastes so good, and then later you just feel awful, right? Yeah. So great suggestion, and thanks for the reminder, Adrian. Because right now, I can't decide if that was helpful or if now all I'm thinking about is the chocolate in the kitchen.
I think my blood is 40% chocolate right now, and. So, hey, one of the other ones too is, connect with people around you, but especially, and you're very good at this, ask some good questions. You're sitting with your grandparents, ask them their best piece of marriage advice. They'll love that. Ask your little nephew what superhero he'd want to be. Ask some really good questions to the people around you versus you telling them what you want them to know.
Well, and then listen. They asked a good question and then listen. It's so funny you mentioned that about marital advice. I was reading this article and the guy had been married for 50 years. And the reporter said, that's amazing. how did you stay married for 50 years? He said, well, for our 25th anniversary, I took my wife to Hawaii. And for our 50th anniversary, I'm going to go pick her up. Arr, 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 arr. So, one of the questions you can ask, hey, have you got a goofy joke for me?
Yeah,
and it just cheers everybody.
That's
There's
great.
your goofy joke for the day.
That's always fun. Yeah, who's got the best joke, and then you give a little award for it. Okay, let's vote on it. Oh, it's grandma's. Whatever. But yeah, lots of fun little traditions you can start. Bring the holiday when people start talking about politicians or religion or anything that's tense. Turn it to something happy and okay. Who's got the best story? Who's got the best joke?
One of the things I think that is kind of built into the holidays, the holiday cards that you send everybody, whether it's Hanukkah or Christmas or New Year's, whatever your family does, it's a reminder to reach out to people. I love when we get these holiday cards in the mail. And that's a family. One came that was digital, actually, from an old high school friend of mine, Vic Grundy, up in Vancouver. And I just randomly called him to catch up. He said, hey, got your Christmas card. Hey, things are going great with your boys, and you've got 2 grandkids now. And, it's a nice reminder to just go old school. Give somebody a call. If you're out on your morning walk or whatever, or send a text. Say, hey, your family looks great in that card. Miss you guys. Yeah. It's a wonderful time of year to reconnect, and you'll be shocked at the power of a simple text, a simple call.
Love that idea. Love the idea of, reaching out to maybe a friend you haven't, talked to in years, maybe somebody you went to high school with, somebody you were in college with, or knew years ago that you haven't reached out to, or maybe a neighbor that you haven't seen in a while. Yeah, is there somebody around that, just kind of, you're kind of connecting yourself with a higher power, and you're saying, is there somebody out there who might need a little love right now? Because it can be a lonely season for a lot of people who don't maybe have, big families around. So I love that idea.
Yeah, and the idea of, listen, make your default emotion kindness. Just, even if you're in a long line at the store for returns or whatever, or the traffic is worse. We went into the city for a family thing last night. By the way, I live in New Jersey. The city is New York. Other people call their places.
I love
there's
that.
Only
Yeah,
one
the
city.
Like there's not 4 billion other cities in the world. It's the city.
Yeah, there is only one city, and that's New York. Anyway, and the traffic was heavy, and we were going to be a little late, everything, and I was really, getting. And my wife was so wonderful. She goes, Chess, it's going to be fine. We're going to make it. There's always traffic. You thought there'd be no traffic? We're going into New York City, right? What do you mean there's no traffic?
And I love that too, because we start thinking a little bit more spiritually around the holidays. Whether you're a devotee of Jesus Christ or Buddha or Muhammad or whoever, or Abraham, there's never a point in any of their lives where we heard about them hurrying somewhere.
Right.
They never rushed. They never hurried. They were very calm. They were very... And isn't that interesting that maybe we can learn from that to be a little calmer? Love that Heidi gave you that advice.
Yeah, and I will tell you on that note, and this is such a great reminder. I hope there's good reminders for the people listening. For me, this is very therapeutic. So thank you, Adrian. When you're walking around or you're rushing around, slow down. Yeah. Slow down. One of the best pieces of advice I got from a good friend of mine, Glenn Nelson, he said, Chester, don't forget, enjoy the journey. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny because the other day I was in the city going to an event for a friend of mine, and I was walking down Broadway, and I thought, oh, get there. And then I thought, no, slow down, enjoy the walk, and discovered a wonderful bookstore that I never would have. And I thought, you know what? Stop in. Take a look, And the other thing that I love doing in New York City in particular, and this works anywhere, when people pass you on the street, make eye contact for just a second and just give them a smile. You don't have to say anything. Just give them a smile. And I guarantee you, 99 times out of 100, what happens? They smile back. It's just a little gift. I love it.
Well, this has been a gift talking to you about the holidays here. And hopefully everybody, will think a little bit about how we slow down this holiday season. And we want to think it's a time of gratitude, right? And that's what we should be doing, is thanking those around us. We want to thank our producer, Brent Klein, to Christy Lawrence, who keeps us on track and helps keep us finding amazing guests throughout the year, and to all of you who have listened in. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and listen, if you like the podcast, please download it, share it with a friend. We've got some great tips in here to reduce people's anxiety. And if you have a conference coming up and you're looking for some great speakers, Adrian and I love to speak virtually or in person on leadership, culture, reducing anxiety, and of course, gratitude. And then I think there's a book they can buy.
There's a book called The Da Vinci Code. Oh, wait a minute. No, you mean the other one. Okay, yeah. Anxiety at Work is a great book that will help you kind of start 2023 on the right note by helping yourself and your team reduce anxiety and get stuff done.
So happy holidays, everybody. We hope this was helpful. Cheers.